Absolutely.
Well, here's some facts for you. I'm going to throw this little tidbit in there. This doesn't really have anything to do about the movie, but it has something to do about somebody who played in the movie. Did you know that Roy Schneider, Chief Brody, was an amateur boxer back in the day?
No, I did not.
Yes. I could not find his record. I guess he boxed during those days of they didn't really keep one, but yeah, he was an amateur boxer before he became, an actor. Anyway, Richard Dreyfuss, Hooper, he first thought that his performance in the film was fucking terrible. Really? He thought it was god-awful bad, and it wasn't until he saw the film for the first time in a theater on the big screen, and he saw it with the audience, and he saw the audience react to it, to when he knew that he actually made something that was good, that was worthwhile. But before then, I guess he said the reason why he felt like he made a bad movie or he had a bad performance is because it was pretty goddamn miserable to make it.
Really?
So if you think about, like, oh God, I was just so miserable with that movie. This movie's going to be the drizzling shits because, but actually, I mean, it's one of those things that you use your surroundings, and the more miserable you are in real life, maybe the realest and most honest performance comes out in you.
So, I mean, Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
They were fucking miserable. Don't worry, that's going to be a Parts Unknown episode also, because they went through a lot of shit in that movie. Well, it only took 38 days for Jaws to hit $1 million in the box office.
Yep, it didn't take long. People went and saw this film. They let other people know, hey, you got to go watch this film, and word of mouth got around, and the rest is history, as they say. But did you know that the extras that they used for the beach scene, like all of the people running down the beach during the shark attack scene, like when the shark attacks at the what they call the pond in the film?
Yeah.
All of those extras were actually Martha Vineyard natives. They were either natives or they were like visiting there, and each one of them was paid $64 for just running up and down the beach a few times.
That's crazy.
So that's if you wondered about the extras getting some love in the films, look no further. We got your back.
That's funny. To make the orca look like it was exposed to the elements, the special effects team painted the seagull poop all over it.
Yeah, they made the boat look as gritty and old as possible.
So they painted shit on it.
Yeah, they did that. So. Well, a lot of Robert Shaw Quint's lines in the movie were completely improvised, like his rhyme about Mary Lee. Mary Lee died at the age of 103, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
He made that rhyme up after being in a cemetery in England and seeing the name Mary Lee on a tombstone.
Really?
Yeah. Yes, he did. Because he's fucking awesome, and he does that. That's the mark of a good actor. They take everything around them, and they reference back to it like, oh, how can I use that for my performance? How can I use this for my performance? Anyway, he was one of those cats.
Gotcha. I did not know that. The shark's teeth were mostly actually hard for biting things, but the soft ones were for biting people, of course. They were like foamy.
Yeah. I always wondered, since it was a mechanical shark, was the teeth actually plastic or whatever? Because if they're sharp, they're still going to fucking hurt.
Yeah,
You know,
that's what
so-
I was thinking. Well, that's what I was wondering too.
Yeah. Well, at one time, some of the crew was just so goddamn miserable on this fucking shoot that they referenced the film as, instead of Jaws, they called it Flaws for all the constant fucking setback. And, you know, who could blame them? I mean, they nicknamed the motherfucker Flaws, and there's some other stuff that I wrote down later on that they had some nicknames for that might make you laugh.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of flaws, especially with the fucking mechanical shark. The character Quinn was originally to be introduced while watching Moby Dick in theater. I'm sorry, I said that really slow and retarded. But they couldn't get the rights or the copyrights to Moby Dick. So they had to scrap the scene.
Yeah, and I think the way they brought him in was a whole lot better. You saw him coming in on the boat, and then the first time you hear him talk, he gives that, you know, I'll catch him, you know, speech or whatever. Yeah. And to piggyback off of that, also in the book, you know, Hooper, who is played by Richard Dreyfuss, he's the one that actually gets ate by the shark when he goes into the water in the cage. It's kind of a confusion because people say, oh, well, him and Quint must change places. No, Quint dies in the book as well, but he didn't get ate by the shark.
No.
He actually drowns because when the shark comes up on the boat, his leg gets wrapped around like the harpoon rope or whatever, and the shark drags him and drowns him. So those are how Quint and Hooper die in the book. As of course we know, Quint gets ate by the shark in the movie, and Hooper just hides until he can come out and he doesn't die. Which, you know, it's better. No, nobody wanted to see Chief Brody just go out of that motherfucker by himself. You know?
No, not at all. Here's a little thing I thought was funny that horror movie writer Stephen King declared in a tweet that "You're gonna need a bigger boat" is the best line in movie history.
Yes, I read that, and I had it on my list, and when Stephen King says that, you know, it takes merit. When he says that it's the best line in horror movie history, and his whole job is to write line and words, then, you know, you take his shit pretty seriously. But, you know, here's another fact. The two boys that played the prank on everybody that had the cardboard fin out in the water and shit.
Yeah.
They were actually real brothers in real life.
No shit.
Yep. And they got hired at the same time. You know, they were paid for a day's work and movie history.
Here's a FYI for you, in case you didn't know, but Jaws is actually PG despite the blood that you see in the movie.
Yeah. There's
a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, especially the fact that there's other movies that got a rated R rating simply just by being violent.
Right.
And I would think that Jaws would get that just by being violent. But you know, whatever. That probably attribute to the fact that more people could go and see it, and there was no age restriction.
Right.
So that kind of helped them out. But the medical inspector in the movie is played by Robert Nevin, who was the real-life doctor on Martha's Vineyard. So they had a lot of native Martha's Vineyard people just randomly playing roles in the film. But yeah, the medical inspector that declared that the first attack might be a boating accident. He's actually the real-life doctor.
So crazy.
Hello, your turn.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, I lost my spot. If you want to, go ahead.
Well, Lorraine Gray, who plays Ellen Brody, she was actually the first actor cast in this entire movie.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, Chief Brody, Roy Schneider, was pretty much given word to mouth that he had the role, but Lorraine Gray was actually the first official actor attached to the project, like actually signed the contract and everything. So
that's crazy. I did not know that. Steven Spielberg actually didn't direct the shark exploding. He had already left the island and was on his way back to Los Angeles.
Yep. He actually told this story on one of the behind the scenes, I think 40th anniversary or something like that.
Yeah.
And he actually had to go back because he had a meeting with the producers, and the producers wanted to know, why the fuck aren't you finished with this shit? So he had to fly back to New York or L.A., wherever he had to go to, and have this meeting with the producers, and he got his, like, second unit to shoot. So, and did you know this? Jaws was the first major movie to be shot on the ocean. Every movie beforehand was shot
in a
studio, stimulating the ocean, but this was the first major movie to actually be shot on the ocean.
I saw that, which actually blew my mind that nobody had shot up until that point until this movie was shot, which is crazy in my eyes.
Yeah.
Here's a funny one. Steven Spielberg was so frustrated with the frequent malfunctions of the shark, he called it the Great White Turd.
For those of you that didn't get that,
I'm sorry, it tickles.
For those of you that did not hear what he said, Steven Spielberg referred to it as the Great White Turd.
It tickles my soul, man.
Well, here's another funny little story. Actor Murray Hamilton, who played the mayor in the film, he had a pretty unpleasant night one night. After a few drinks at the bar one evening, where he was staying at the hotel he came in, and he saw something outside the hotel room, and he went to investigate it, and it was a fucking skunk. So he was sprayed with a skunk, and him being sprayed by a skunk, having to film his scenes most of the time in the hot sun, probably didn't. Yeah, it probably didn't smell too good. Hopefully, he finished the majority of his scene. But I think it's pretty funny. The mayor got drunk and got sprayed by a skunk on his way back to the hotel room.
That's so fucking funny. Steven Spielberg was actually thinking that this movie was going to suck so bad that he couldn't sleep. So in order to help him sleep, he stuck celery under his pillow because the smell helped him sleep.
Yeah, I read that. I didn't know whether to write that down because I didn't know how to fucking write it down. Like, I was trying to figure out, like, why?
I don't know. Apparently the smell of celery calmed him down.
Well, we all got our things. But you remember earlier I couldn't remember who the first person was to direct the film? Well, it was a guy by the name of Dick Richards.
Yeah.
Who was actually the first director that was attached to this. But he was quickly replaced by Steven Spielberg after reportedly referring to the shark